So when I ran into Brandy, this is how it works in our world. We run into each other at the bank, and I tell her, hey, you heard about Tropicare? Oh, Brian, you guys gotta bring the people. She goes, whoa, 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 Tracy. I go, oh no, now it's changing. I was asking you for something, now you're gonna ask me for something. I said, what? She said, you can do universal precautions and bloodborne pathogens and health in... I was like, oh, that's a list. I said, I don't ask you for one thing. I said, Tropicare, bring your people, we helping your people. She goes, so? You know me, I only count on one hand at a time, right? I said, okay. I told her, I said, I get 2 trains. Both of them usually is super long, but I'm gonna go like that, super fast, right? So if you're sleeping, get up, stand up, walk around, right? Because you're gonna need it. I said to her, you know, it's weird. I've always trained this training for high-level case managers. And what I mean by high level is exactly what you guys do. Homeless outreach, shelter, finding housing, going where they're at, right? And I said, now that I think about it, I said, I get plenty things for saying to you guys. Oh, actually, right? About how to keep yourself safe in the workplace, how to not take it home, right? How to not have it transfer in your car. See, the lucky thing about Hope Services is you guys drive their car. Yeah? We drove our car. Okay? Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I realize that there's a lot of experience I have that is relatable. Now, why did I go from Adult Mental Health Division to Public Health? Is because I realized that the Department of Health needs to really recognize that mental health is a chronic condition. Okay? They don't even have it on its list right now. We've got cancer, asthma, diabetes. We've got all of that. But we don't have mental health, right? And so what I realized was, 1, it needs to be recognized as a chronic condition. 2, for those that know me, I have choke resources in my brain, right? But if something happens to Tracy, the thing go with Tracy, right? So the whole deal is, like, download them and you guys, like this, go, like a robot. So the hope is today that you don't think that this is a lecture, that you think that this is interactive, that you think that, Tracy, I can raise my hand and it's not on stupid question, because no one stupid question, I'll tell you that right now. Stupid questions are those that are not asked, okay? Somebody in this room would wonder something, but get 10, 20 more people that wondering the same thing that's not willing to ask, okay? And so just bring yourself to it, shake it off, bring yourself to it, and just ask the question. Now, this morning, we're supposed to have 9:30 to 12 with each other. What I'm gonna try and do is powerhouse through bloodborne pathogens, universal precautions, and then leave one chunk of time where we can talk about real scenarios, real talk about what's happening in the field, right? What can we do? And some of the stuff I'm gonna say to you, not gonna change your mind. You're just gonna be like, you're such interesting. And repeat what everybody would say with emphasis. And that's what it is, right? So how much of us actually believe hand washing is like the #1 thing that you can actually do to combat what's out there? Okay? If you don't believe it, I will convince you. I will gross you out so bad, it will trip you out, right? The next thing is communication. Communication between every single one of you guys is your guys' next strength. And what an individual does and how they carry themselves to work, from work, to their house, how you love your kids, right? All of that matters. Yeah? We don't think it matters, but it does. So, any questions before I go on this journey? Except I'm messing with this thing already. Ooh. Okay. Yes.
So when you left MHD?
I left Adult Mental Health Division March 28th
Wow. Of this year?
of this year.
Wow.
This year, just like right after. And you know what is crazy? People always tell me, so no mind this is supposed to be on 10-hour training. Tracy gonna crack them in 1 hour. Just 1 hour. And then we're gonna do universal precautions, 1 hour. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about what can we do. Because you know what? The worst feeling you can get as a worker in the field is feeling like you're helpless and hopeless to what's out there. Yeah? Once you start feeling like that, it's like, oh my God. You start getting some level of phobia, right? Like, oh, I don't like this person touch me. Whoa, don't touch me. Don't touch that, right? And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not against being too clean, but I'm telling you, being too clean means that when infections come, they come back super beasts, right? So like if you always like full on OCD on it, right? You better be OCD all the time, right? No leave them cracking that window because they become a lot more superpowered. So I always talk on this side. So if you can hear me over there, let me know. If I'm not looking at you guys, I'm sorry. Because that's what happens. I get into this mode and I just get focused, right? So in this training, guys, you guys are going to be able to define bloodborne pathogens. We're going to be identifying workers who are at high risk of exposure. For Department of Health, that really matters, right? We have like Group A's and Group B's, right? Group A's are usually your nurses, that is like, you know, giving the injections, pricking people, maybe assisting a person with some kind of like diabetes testing. Anytime that you're sort of going through breaking skin, going through the body, and blood is coming out, that's usually your type A workers, yeah? And type B is usually the rest of us. We're gonna talk about a bloodborne pathogen exposure control plan. So I'm not totally ignorant to what Hope Services has provided you as your guys' hazardous health and safety plans. Actually, I gotta tell you guys, I'm actually pretty shocked because it's in depth and it actually talks about different types of exposures. Other workplaces that I've worked for doesn't have that. You don't have a lice exposure policy at Department of Health at Adult Mental Health Division, yeah? But you do at Hope Services, which tripped me out, right? Because I've never seen it. If you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, dun dun dun, Tracy's on. So, I'm gonna tell you, I study all kinds of stuff. Health and Safety Manual, if you guys haven't seen it, in Hope Services, it's 18 pages long. It's actually really, really good. I think there's areas, every health and safety plan improves as things come up. I mean, it's sad, but not all of us, not all managers, not all leadership, we haven't been through everything. If we were, we'd be beasts, right? So that's why I said communication is key, because what you guys share up, yeah, side, down, matters. It totally matters. And it's gonna matter more than just a piece of paper, okay? We're gonna describe methods for controlling exposure and describe steps to take when exposed, okay? So here's this, 1981. 1 in 8 people had HIV and they didn't know about it. Let's take it to the county level. In 1995, in a specific town, a specific school, 10% of that school was HIV positive. Okay? 1995. That's when I was going to school, right? So, HIV being present on this island is very, very real, right? I have worked, one of my patients that I've worked with the longest, HIV positive, 20 plus years. And yeah, it was scary. The first time we had to interface, very scary. But when you start talking and you start learning, it changes things. Ebola, same thing, right? 2014 and 2016 Zika. Yeah. So what are bloodborne pathogens? They're pathogenic microorganisms present in the human blood that leads to diseases. Pretty much bacteria in our red that comes out of our body that is looking to infect somebody else, right? Now, I should say this because I see some people jamming with their pens. I can give you the PowerPoint later so that your brain can stay calm. Major primary concern, guys, hepatitis B, C, and HIV, yeah? We can agree that our population may have some of these conditions, may know about it, or may not, yeah? Just so that you guys know, hepatitis C treatment is big dollars. $150,000, one treatment, yeah? So when people say, hey, I like our clients get hepatitis C treatment, we talking big when we talking about state medical, right? I mean, as advocates, it takes a lot for primary care doctors to actually get it approved, yeah? Hepatitis B, over 12 million Americans are infected, so 1 in 20. 200,000 people on this island, yeah? So if we have to look at that, it's a pretty big number, right? 20, 30, 40,000, right? The silent infection symptoms include jaundice, fatigue, abdominal pain, loss of appetite, intermittent nausea, vomiting. Some people think it's a chronic stomach flu, yeah? Until one day, your doctor says to them, hey, something's really wrong with your gastro problems. Let's take a blood test. And they find out there might be a liver dysfunction, right? And that's how it ends up getting diagnosed. It can survive for at least 1 week in dry blood. Why that's important is it's long. It is very long exposure. So how does this work for you guys? Let's say you're in the shelter. How much of you guys are workers in the shelter? Okay? So you're workers in the shelter, somebody ends up bleeding, right? You clean it as best as you can. You have the client assist maybe. But that communication gotta go to the other shifts, yeah? Because all it takes is a fragment of that blood to get into your cuticles, right? And you can be exposed, right? So here's this. People tell me, Tracy, so I should be wiping everything. Well, you wipe everything, you know, the day you know wipe, you know something, right? So here's this. It's better to ask the questions of the shifts, right? Hey, you know what? Did somebody have any accidents with blood, right? Where was it, right? Because maybe shift to shift you guys want to treat it for a day or so, right? To make sure that we got whatever we got, right? How much of you guys are, I forget what you call you guys now, but you're pretty much homeless outreach workers trying to get them into housing, okay? So check this out. Many a times we get into the field, we know we gotta see 500 billion people. And we only get 6 hours because we lost transportation time, right? And luckily you guys know what kind of bosses that keep on talking to you. So it's like, bro, you're cutting into my time, right? But I know you guys see choke people, right? How much of you guys jump out of the car and just immediately start going? Okay, here's the deal. I'm not saying it's bad, because I won't charge it too. What I'm saying is, for your safety, you gotta scope what's happening. You gotta check them out before you're arriving at them, right? The consumer. It can be your own staff now, right? Somebody cut their finger, they wipe them on their hand, on their clothes, right? Oh, how's it? Oh, right? But you gotta check it out, you really do, because this can be inside the dry blood for 1 week. Yeah, yes?
I have a scenario I wanted your opinion on.
Okay?
Okay, so we're in housing.
Yes.
We deal with all the people that came from the streets.
Okay,
So if somebody was sick with Hep C,
yes,
and you know, when they get Hep C, when they close to the end, they have bleeding problems?
yes,
Okay, so is it wise for staff to go into a unit to clean it so that we can get the deposit back? After the client is deceased and there's blood all over the walls.
Okay, so watch Tracy's brain. Because, okay, so magnitude of blood, what are we talking?
Blood.
Like blood all over the
And
place.
and he was a drunk, so his blood was everywhere.
And then to add to that, the staff who cleaned it is not like, has not trained to make sure that the
Okay,
unit
that's,
is cleaned properly.
check that
so
out.
The new family
That's the key,
is gonna be safe.
right there. Yes, you can clean it, but it has to be the highest trained person to assist, because I'm gonna tell you, I've had people go in and they have great intentions. I'm gonna tell you, sickness is paid with great intentions, right? You have good intentions, you want the money back, your agency needs it, whatever, your client's family needs it, whatever, right? But you go in to clean it, and they're not even prepared of how you're supposed to deal with soil to clean, soil to clean. I don't care how much gloves you use, we're gonna go over that. I like you, write that down. Because, yeah. Write that down, because on the second part of this in universal precautions, we're gonna talk about that. Because there's safe ways of cleaning up things, and there's certain things that we need to think about as individuals. I know what Hope Services provides generally, right? But I can tell you what I did to keep Tracy and my team safe for 20 years. And maybe that might help. Because it's gonna take a little bit more from us. Yes, the employer has certain requirements, and usually most employers, unfortunately, meet the minimum. But you know what? I love my life, I love my dogs, and I love my family. Right? So I tell you, put it in perspective. Because I had one scenario just like that. Except there was fecal matter with it, and we had to clean it. So I'm gonna talk about that. But please remind me, because, okay. Yes, up to 40,000 people in the US become newly infected every year. Okay? How much of you guys get nails or get one cuticle issue where you gotta pull things? Okay, no cuticle pulling. No cuticle pulling. No. Just let it go. Just tell yourself, I'm gonna get a nail cutter. I'm gonna get a nail cutter. Let it go. Because I'm gonna tell you, people don't realize you pull. And it's not you pulling from the surface, you're pulling from underneath, right? And when you get dirty, when you go inside a garden and you start working in the garden, where does all of it sit? At the base of your nail, right? So, I'd like to find out someday, where did that 40,000 people that become newly infected end up getting, where's the site of they're getting infected? Hepatitis C is the most common chronic bloodborne infection. Probably should do this, wait one moment. Okay, very similar, right? Jaundice, fatigue, abdominal pain, loss of appetite, intermittent nausea, and vomiting. Many times, people think regular stomach flu. It just so happens that stomach flu happens every year, 2 years, it's ongoing. Sometimes people think it's irritable bowel syndrome, right? But it's not. Yeah, it's hepatitis C undiagnosed. Maybe. Yeah, so guys, just because somebody has hep C untreated doesn't necessarily mean they will die. Doesn't necessarily mean it will progress. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll have chronic liver disease. Okay? HIV is the virus that leads to AIDS. Now, how much of you guys know about HIV and its treatment? Anybody here? So, when HIV first was coming out, there was only a single layer of treatment, and it wasn't as effective, right? Over the years, the last 20 years, what I've been noticing is they've been adding on tiers of HIV treatments, and they go up to a series from 0 to 10. Why is this important for you guys? I'll tell you. If you know that somebody is HIV positive and they're on medications, it is super important that they take their medications. Because if they go 3 to 5 days with possibly no medications, they have to go up another tier. Yeah? They will run out of tiers if there's still continue to be non-adherent, right? So the lady that I used to worked with her 20 years. She started very non-compliant, didn't want to take medicine. In the olden days, Acteens would deliver medicine and observe you take it, right? She got stuck right at tier number 9, right? There's only one more tier of treatment for her. But at tier number 9, there was no virus in her blood. Yeah? Diagnosed HIV positive, but no virus in the blood. Yeah? So, I'm not saying it's cured, but what I'm saying is, it's working. And I pray and hope that the team keeps her at that level. But that's why it's important for housing. That's why it's important for outreach, because if we don't ask the questions, right, we cannot help. We cannot help to help them save their lives, and we cannot help ourselves to save our own lives, right? As you guys know, it affects the immune system. Funny part about HIV, it doesn't survive well outside the body. Yeah? I mean, it's interesting. Hepatitis is more contractable. Yeah? Outside, dry blood. That's why I tell my kids, sometimes we go to the park, no. My son's all like, why? We just came here. Right? And it's because, you know, you got to take precautions for your own family. Right? Unfortunately, individuals with HIV are infected for life. I think this number is relatively around the same. 1.1 million people are living with HIV that's known of. Yeah, big amount. Other bloodborne diseases caused by viruses or bacteria circulate in blood at some phases, right? So like Zika, Ebola, right? A lot of workers were getting contaminated because they weren't following universal precautions. How much of us was living here? We're from a very frugal plantation kind era, right? Our families. I'm telling you, it's not the time for save the company money, right? Change the glove. Change the glove. If you don't feel comfortable with it, if you gotta wear 2 of them, do it, right? Because here's the bottom line. You can be the best worker, you can have good intentions, you can do whatever it takes for Hope Services. But if you get infected and you get sick, nobody else can replace you like that, right? So it's better, I tell people, when you see blood, you get one tendency, just run to it and deal with it, right? But if it's like how you said, holes, let's think about this first, right? It's not a crisis. Let's think about this first. We're going for clean one area. There's no life-threatening situation. Let's not make it a life-threatening situation, right? It's not a crisis, right? They say, you know, it is rare in the United States, but yet Zika made its way all the way to Hawaii, right? And so keeping, I don't know if in Hope Services you guys have somebody that checks the public health informations about what's out there. That's something that you guys might want to add. And if not, when you're bored and you're sitting at home, you know, like watch anything, like Friday night tonight, some research night. So I tell my family, I'm nothing good on TV, research. They're like, research what? I said, you see that list? Research it. They're like, oh my God. I said, well, nothing good on Friday night anyway, research it. So guys, these are different bloodborne pathogens, right? Leptospirosis. Leptospirosis is a real significant, yeah, there's all type of different diseases and infections and viruses that can be contracted. But I think the ones that is most applicable is probably your hepatitis, your HIVs. Definitely leptospirosis, we've been seeing an increase in that because rivers go dry and then they get water again, and it's not like how we used to be in the olden days, you just jump in the water and you all good, right? Yeah? So risk of exposure. If there is blood, that is a huge contamination source because they live in blood, right? You have other bodily fluids, right? Somebody sneezes, comes from their eyes. So a lot of, I guess, potent areas, guys, is blood, the excretion from their eyes, right? Other reproductive organ sort of excretions, yeah? What usually happens is we're not watching what's going on with the person that we're serving, right? So how much of us ever seen somebody that has like pink eye or star eye? You see how fast that thing travels? And it's all because that mucous membrane in their eye is carrying the most potent amount of bacteria or virus inside of it, right? So spread of bloodborne pathogens, direct contact, pretty much that is you touch the source. Yeah, you touch whether it was bloody gauze coming out of somebody, whether it was indirectly you picked up somebody's Band-Aid, right? Yeah. Respiratory transmission, I mean, we have situations like that, like tuberculosis and stuff like that. Person is sick, and we know that they're sick, but yet we still get into a zone. Yeah, so like they said, right, if a person is possibly suffering from tuberculosis, you stay in as much of an open area as possible, right? It should be 2 arm lengths away. So about, for me, that's about 10 feet, right? So they say 10 feet, but actually it's 5, right? How much of you guys in the office, do you guys have, like, see, adult mental health division, we had this plastic where you talk through the hole? Bad. Nasty. Nasty. Because what happens? You go, what? Or you're standing in front of it and it's all like this and the AC is blowing it all in. That's why, Tracy, oh, hi, how's it? How I can help you? The air is going this way. I'm serious, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, for real. You driving in the car. Here, common sense. Oh, it's not common sense, but I guess I can make a common sense now. So you driving in the car. You guys get AC out in your car?
Yeah.
Lucky you guys work home services. Adult mental health division no AC. We get plants growing in our car. Anyway, you're driving in the car. You're keeping it all cool, but you have their vent blowing through them to you. What? It's supposed to go that away. That away. Yeah? People say to me, Tracy, why do you always leave the passenger back slightly cracked? And it's because I'm forcing the air to move that way. I'm not kidding. I love our clients. I love mental health clients. Anybody that knows me, like, I love them down to wherever they're at. But this is what ultimately has kept us safe and well. I don't even remember when I was sick, right? I only went out for maternity leaves, right? Get that, right? Exposure occurs. Do you guys have like needles in your guys' facility? Do you have people that are using IV? Yeah? Okay. So, perfect example. Sometimes it's good to get up and to walk around, right? Especially in shelters, especially around our offices, especially like, nobody's sticking your hand in bushes and stuff like that, because for some reason in Hilo, I don't know what's the deal, but our people, they like fighting in bushes, right? And the sad part is, kids are playing with their ball. immediately you guys want to clean up the area, right? But you have to go with the sentiment that everybody is infected. Everybody. Even if you love them. Even if it's your coworkers. Everybody's infected, right? All y'all is infected, right? That's the way you gotta see it. And it's not because you're labeling somebody, but it's because ultimately it's helping you, yeah, keeping yourself safe and keeping them safe. If you view yourself as infected, I hope you're not the kind of worker that's gonna be making almo lepo for infect other people, right? Right? You gotta look at that. Contact with mucous membranes, we talked about that. So the risk exposure, first responders, exactly what you were saying. Even though you guys are not housekeepers, if you guys are doing housekeeping tasks, it puts you at a super high risk, like super high risk. My workers at Adult Mental Health Division used to laugh, because you guys get booties, huh? You guys have booties?
Yes.
Okay. So one of my workers thought that was for their head and wondered why I had one. I told her, that's for your feet. But I said, check it out. That only protects your shoes, right? We had many situations at Adult Mental Health where somebody either threw up, decided they were going to use a bathroom on our wall, on the front door, right? So for me, I end up taking those big rubbish bags and I tie it all the way. I get the booties on, right? But I tie it all the way up to here, right? Because I'm going into something and I don't know what will touch what, right? People tell me, why do you do that? Because it's easier to clean it up too. I untie it, I drop the bag down, I have my gloves, I pick it up and it goes inside out. But I'll talk about that. CDC estimates 5.6 million workers in healthcare and related occupations are at risk. Although you guys are on the peripherals of healthcare, I think you guys are first responders because you guys are dealing with them before they get to healthcare, right? Which means there's a higher risk. Yeah? Oh, that's a poor slide, but I'm going to tell you what the thing said. So occupational groups, in figure 1, occupational groups of healthcare personnel exposed to blood or body fluids. The highest one is nurse, purple is physicians. So that's why we call them type A group, right? They're the ones that usually gotta get like hepatitis B vaccinations and stuff like that. The rest of them is like research, dental, clerical, admin, student, housekeeping, maintenance, technicians. I kind of say that's sort of us because we're that step before you get to medical care. So work locations where blood and body fluid exposures occur, inpatient is a big chunk. Operating room and then outpatient, that's kind of like us, yeah? Inpatient. So how much of you guys take your clients to the hospital? Okay. So we're only thinking about our clients, but then when you walk into a setting like that, that whole place you gotta think is glowing with infections, right? I telling you guys this so that when you guys go there, you're laughing now, but gonna sink in your head, because if I can make you laugh, you're gonna remember. Guaranteed. You're gonna walk up, you're gonna be like, whoa, right? And it's true, because you know what? You don't know who was sitting on the seat before you sat on it. Yeah? And so the thing about it is people say to me, well, Tracy, what do you do for that? I carry a separate fanny pack that goes with me everywhere. And it's a Tracy fanny pack, right? Because your agency provides for you to take care of your patients, but then there needs to be a little bit more of what you have for you. Yeah? You guys have an exposure control plan? Yes? No?
It is
Yes. Are you guys saying yes and you don't know?
They made us do the whole level.
They did?
Yeah.
Perfect. How much of you guys test each other on that? Here's this. You know what's the worst thing, guys? I'm going to tell you right now. You get something written down, and you don't know what the thing said. Right? You got to check it out. right? Exposure plans are super important, right? Elements of the control plan. What type of exposure are we talking about? Is it a direct exposure, indirect exposure? Did you touch something that was contaminated? Did you, oh, I gotta imagine you guys deal with dogs,
Yes.
right? So dogs don't only carry their own illnesses, but they carry things on their coats. Yeah, I love dogs. I love to pet dogs. But I love to pet dogs and clean my hands. My clients, they tell you, Tracy, you always touching my dog. Oh, hi, oh my. Right? Because you don't know. You don't know what they went through. They're living in the same place. Right? Schedule and method of implementation, procedure for evaluation of exposure incidents. Do you guys have an exposure crew? Like, or is that just leadership, you think? Or like, here's why. If a person gets exposed, right, and you guys are filing, you guys are doing a report to management, saying, I've been exposed, right, this is the situation, you call into your supervisor tells you, hey, go up to the ER, right? Somebody in your guys' agency, not somebody, somebody's, needs to come together and see if there's a pattern of these incidences, right? Because a pattern of the incidents will help you change sort of the level of exposure a little bit, right? So like I'll give you an example. Everybody know Clubhouse, right? Okay. So Clubhouse, they cook food, right? They cook food. So Clubhouse, for those of you guys that don't know, Clubhouse is a psychosocial rehabilitation day program for severe, persistent, mentally ill adults, no matter where they are, right? We have at some period of time 45 to 120 people inside there. Now, we do food handling inside there. And what we started realizing was, number one, we didn't know enough about the people, hey Brandon, we didn't know enough about the people that were preparing the food to know if they should be preparing food. Okay? So, I don't know how it works in the house programs, like, we want to foster them to be more independent and get more social skills, but at the same time, we gotta teach them hand washing and stay on it. Because how much of them hand wash like this? Let me tell you, if you cannot sing happy birthday 2 times, never wash your hands long enough. Right? Okay? So we're going to talk about that in universal precautions. But, so that's number one. You gotta, if maybe, I'll tell Brandy, but Brandy was talking about if there's exposures to incidences, having a group of people review if there's a pattern, yeah, of exposure.
I think that's supposed to be our safety committee.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which Denise is in charge of. All the directors are out today because they're
Okay.
all dying
From training and all of
from
that.
coming back from Denver
Okay,
at 8 o'clock last night. So they're not here.
Oh my God. But so that would be your guys' point person, is if you guys starting to notice something that's happening repetitively, right? Remember what I said? First line of defense is hand washing. Second line of defense is communication. Third line of defense is yourself. What you can do to control yourself, right? The exposure control plan is not something that just stays there and you forget about it and you just deal with it only when you go to CARF accreditation, right? I'm telling you, for real, it's a real deal, right? It has to evolve with you. Hope Services is such a great agency that you guys have evolved. In the 20 years that I've known you guys have, we get big, we get small, we get fat, we get skinny, but we're still evolving. Like I gained 100 pounds, right? Brandy can testify, she knew me from the beginning, right? And Dexter, Coloma, they can all testify, right? So the reality is it has to change with you, right? Treat all blood and bodily fluids as if they're contaminated. Yeah, you gotta do that. Yeah, even if it's something that has happened in the office, And like I said, you think that, no, it's no big deal, I know that person, right? Sure, listen, we don't know each other 100%, right? And it's okay, right? Proper cleanup and decontamination is important. You guys have biohazard containers, boxes. Where does that biohazard containers go?
In the renting.
After the renting. Where does it go? Hilo Hospital. Here's what's awesome about that, because it gets incinerated. Now, who transports it to the hospital? Brandy, high exposure. So here's this. If you're transporting to the hospital, you want to make sure, number one, it is double sealed, right? Double sealed. We usually say at Public Health, you have a sign that says that you're carrying hazmat material. Yeah? So it's, universal precautions. We have that fluorescent orange kind of stuff where you hang on your window, on your mirror, and you have one on the back part of your window. Yeah, so in the event you get into an accident, you are unconscious, the people know they're arriving to a vehicle that's carrying contaminated fluids. Yeah? So if you don't have that, put it in, because it'll help keep you and whoever safe while you're driving. Oh, I've seen the most strangest things, bro. If people are doing, whether it be needles, diabetes blood testing is an interesting phenomenon. That has blood on it, right? And many a times, the question is does that have to go in here? Well, it doesn't have to, but it should if you have it available, right? And if not, if your clients don't have it available, teach them to get one of those big jugs of juice, right? Mark it red, right? Mark it red on the top. This is blood, right? And the reason why is because their family members too, kids, they open stuff, they move them around, right? Or like somebody shoves their hand inside the trash to go and pick up something, right? So better to have it in a Sharks disposable container. And always hand hygiene. Wash it. Wash your hands, right? I hope my video works today, because you guys gonna blow laugh when you see this video. I did. Department of Health and Development too. So, protective wear, guys. Gloves, masks, aprons, smocks, gowns, face shields, mouthpieces, safety glasses, or CPR pocket masks. Shades. If you don't got no protective wear for your eyes, use your shades. Drop it down, right? Drop it down and use it. I've seen so much people put on masks the wrong way, it's ridiculous. Right? It's like, are you serious? These things can only protect you as much as you use it correctly. Right? So we're going to talk about that. How do you use it correctly? Yeah? Employer's responsibility is looking at sort of the hazard assessment. What is in your guys' area, right? What are you guys exposed to, right? If your population is changing, you gotta let Brandy guys know. Because I used to be a manager, and as much as we try not to sit in an ivory tower, right, with glass windows, right, we end up there. Because we can only get to the bottom line every so often, right? And it's sad because we want to, right? We want to get there, but Big Island is a Big Island. I'm not making excuses, it's a Big Island. I managed everything from Pahala to Wawa, Kaimu, all the way up North Hawaii, into Kohala, all the way down to Waikoloa, into Keanakolu, and back. One person, right? And so, if we could, I know we would, yeah? But we need your guys' help. If there's a new hazard, if somebody's using new drugs, if We went from crystal meth, they're smoking it, to they're shooting it. We need to know that so we can help protect you guys. If the booties that they bought you is ripping when you put it on, they gotta know, right? If the gloves, you get one big man, big letter now with big hands. Hey, they need gloves too, right? Identify and provide appropriate protective gear for employees at no cost, which they do, right? Train employees on use and care, which we will. Maintain and replace. So do you guys get CPR shields and stuff like that too?
Yes.
Do you guys check it to see that there's no cracks? So we want to add that, guys. We want to add that because you know for CPR shields. So I know you guys have equipment in your guys' car. The heat is massive, and the heat can get into the rubbers, the shields, not being able to hold your gloves. They lose their elasticity. You pull your hand through it, and your hand goes through it, right? You gotta help. This is the employer's responsibility, but for the employee, it's our responsibility to check it out. And if you're not going to check out the stash that the employer gives you, then check out what you got in your fanny pack if you got one, right? Review, update, and evaluate the protective gear program. It's interesting. Several years ago, there was an organization that had to buy respirators for their employees. And they thought they bought the right respirators for their employees, that they could breathe well, it was functioning. The problem was the respirator wasn't made for that type of gas. So people got sick, right? And what it came down to was communication. What was the level of communication going up? What was the level of communication going down? What was the level of communication going to the sides, right? So in order for us to be able to get the right safe design and construction, tell us if it's the wrong one, right? I'll give you an example. What kind of mask do you guys have?
I think that white one up there, the smaller white one.
Let's see something funny. So these ones right here, right, can work, but only if we use it correctly, right? Inside the piece, one side is stronger than the other, yeah? The stronger part is supposed to go over your nose. I've seen people wear it opposite, right? I've also seen people wear it like this. Right? How you protecting yourself? Right? Or sometimes people say to me, Tracy, it's too hot. See, I talk too much, so I cause humid in my mask. Right? I feel like I'm drowning. I do. So my employer gives us this, but I know that it's not good for me because I will be, and then I'm like, my asthma is acting up now. So I look for my own mask, right? Because this is what they provide and it's good, but it's not good for me because of who I am, right? So you learn your style. You gotta know yourself well enough to know what you need. Yeah. We're gonna talk about that, how to put on masks, put on gowns, properly wear it, like I was saying. If you putting on your gloves and you're not even shoving your fingers all the way in, which I've seen many times, right? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I cannot. And then they wonder why blood is flying all over their face. Oh, this is solid gloves. Hey, Brad, you guys watching solid gloves. I might not even be able to. So, some people. Wait. Okay, so you see this? I've seen workers use it like this. And they wonder why blood is flying all over the place. And then they don't like do them ever again because you make them miserable. Right? I told you guys, listen, it's now in crisis, right? If the person is bleeding, call 911. You get your gloves on, then you assist, right? Don't be doing all this halfway. This is solid gloves, by the way. Yeah, this is solid gloves. You gotta see some of the stuff, oh, this is solid gloves. I'm gonna have to leave them on. Because I might not be able to put them back on. Right? You gotta attend training. If you don't attend training, guys, you guys not gonna know, right? Now, if you get one box of these gloves inside your car, and you notice that it's getting fragile, you gotta let Brandy know. You gotta let the people that buy this stuff know, right? It's gonna be real crappy if you try to do CPR with one broken shield. Yeah? How much air is really getting to the person, right? The loop of ordering. I've been in situations where my employee goes, I didn't tell management for go order them. Months later, you guys didn't hear what you guys needed. Oh, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. You guys didn't order them? So it's like 3 months go by with no communication, right? If you need something, right, and you kick it up to management or whoever that does ordering, follow up. I'm not saying harass. I say follow up, right? Hey, by the way, you know, I just wanted, because we're going out in the field and I was hoping that we could already have them in our cars, right? But you gotta follow up. Okay. Oh, that's what I gotta ask. So in the shelter, how much you guys are primarily cleaning? The people are cleaning? What's happening? The people are cleaning and they're not cleaning well.
Of course. They do what they're doing.
They do what they're doing. And then you guys go over to clean it, or what happens? You guys just live in that environment.
Staff cleans it, especially if they abandon their units.
Yeah,
Okay.
they
So we
abandon
do
it,
cleaning,
stuff.
we do cleaning.
Okay. Do they get training on how to clean? Our individuals?
Some coaching,
Okay.
as needed,
Okay.
you know, because not everybody has that skill.
So this is what I like you guys do. If you guys are in shelter and you get permission from Brandy guys, get videos from Department of Health that you guys can lift. And you guys can put it on the TV and have them watch it, and it's fun kind stuff. Not the kind like, oh, you gotta wash your hands with this, and if you come over and do this and do that. No, it's like, wash your hands, wash your hands. Right? But the reason why I'm saying is because how do you learn to do things repetitively, right? And how much people you guys get in one given place at one given time? A lot. So to go through, and some of them come in as families. So to go through everybody and be monitoring all that might not be realistic, but if you can throw it up every so often, right, that can help. Broken glass, I've seen the most bizarre thing I've ever seen, but I can understand how it happened. Glass broke, was in a group home, actually was at Helping Hands, glass broke on the ground, client got cut, staff was trying to help, whatever made the staff think that they was at home, got a piece of glass stuck in their hand, and like this, and then end up cutting their lip. Preventable, right? Preventable. All exposures are preventable. Sometimes we get so comfortable. Now mind you, some of you guys been with this agency long time. This like home. No, it's not. No, it's not. Right? No, it's not. You can love these people, you can love your job, but no, it's not home. Right? And even our houses, they said it's not clean. Right? Kitchen, bathrooms, all of that. They don't care how much you clean, they still say it's not clean. Right? Mechanical means only if you're sweeping something up and there's possible blood in it, that gotta get decontaminated, including the broom. People don't think about that. You're sweeping it, I'll power dump them inside there. Maybe you ain't clean the dustpan, but you need to spray down that broom. Because you guys gonna sweep somewhere else, and hepatitis B can be alive for 1 week, and you be sweeping it around your house. Oh yeah, oh yeah, we's all clean. We's all clean. You just a street hepatitis B all over your place. Okay? Super, super, super important. Cleanup and decontamination. I cannot tell you guys strongly enough, you gotta wear gloves. You gotta wear gloves. So when you guys go out, do you guys check your guys' supplies before you guys go?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes?
yes.
Yeah. Because it's important, right?
It's gold.
Just go.
Yeah.
Just go. And you better check them when you come home. Come home that day, you better check them for tomorrow morning. Right? Because you know when you're in one situation where you get plenty blood, that's when you're going to realize if your coworker like share with your gloves. I'll tell you that right now. Because when you get so much gloves, right? Use appropriate disinfectant. I noticed inside your guys' health and safety manual, it talks about the portions, right? Yeah? 1 cup bleach to a gallon of cold water, not hot water. Because once you put hot water in it, it rises and it's gone. It's in the air. It's gone. Same thing for spray bottles, right? It says 1 teaspoon for a quart. But it's kind of hard because I say, you know, you can put in some more, but if you're not using gloves, your hands gonna get all bust up, right? But that's another thing. When you guys using this kind of stuff, like if you're cleaning, say you're cleaning blood inside your bathroom, you spray all of this stuff. Don't stay inside there. Walk out, come back to it. And the reason why is because as it's rising, you're breathing it in. Yeah, you're inhaling it in. Yeah. Clean and disinfect contaminated equipment and work surfaces. I tell you right now, I swab all your guys' smartphones. It's nasty. Tell you right now. So here's the deal. That too, like that's your way of keeping yourself safe. Is you gotta, I mean, it's gross. I'll tell people straight when they're walking in the bathroom. You're not using your phone in the bathroom, are you? Oh wow. And because here's the deal. The reality is we all work amongst each other. We take our phones out of our pocket, we put it on the desk. Right? I'm not trying to freak you out to the point you're like, I ain't touching nothing, putting myself on the wall. Yes. Yes. Menus in restaurants are the nastiest things ever because they don't wash it down. Right? You know? I mean, this is just awareness, right? Thoroughly wash up immediately after exposure. In all honesty, if you guys are cleaning somewhere and you feel like you cannot put in the right time and effort, get somebody else to help you. Because if you're gonna spray and you're not gonna wait, and you're just trying to jam it because you gotta do something else, you miss the purpose. Yeah, you gotta spray and you have to let it soak, soil in, right? And then deal with it, yeah? Properly dispose of contaminated towels and rags. How much of you guys, when you guys are doing it, is marking your bags red? You have to mark it red, yeah? You take your stuff, you put it inside a bag, you either gotta mark it red or you should get maybe, what we did was we ended up getting red ribbon if it's regular trash bags like that. Because you're not gonna always use biohazard bags, it's gonna be extraordinarily expensive. But what we did was we started just marking it red, yeah? Dispose of regulated waste in closable, leak-proof, red, and biohazard labeled bags or containers. It's interesting. People deal with blood, they put them in biohazard. People deal with cleaning up, somebody had one diarrhea accident or they vomited and they put them in the rubbish can. I'm telling you, I'm not even kidding. When you go to number 2, you're passing a huge mucus lining, right? And if there's blood in it, you can get exposed to A, B, C, HIV, any of those, right? No beat me any person that open up a bag once the thing is closed. I say this and I'm not saying them because I'm trying to just harass you guys, but I've seen people like, oh yeah, they never clean up nothing. They open up a bag. Bro, I'm gonna write you up for being unsafe. What are you doing? Right? Laundry. Who does the laundry at the shelters?
They do their own laundry.
They do their own.
But we do it also the bedding, the towels, like whatever they leave behind.
Okay. So when they're doing their laundry, right? I don't know what kind of machines you guys get, but front loaders are interesting beasts because they have those rubbers, yeah, around it. I tell people to try and do a rinse and drain and throw a little bit bleach inside there.
On top of the
I put them inside, and let it run at least 13 minutes, because it's that rinse cycle is 13 minutes. You see how much I know about this stuff? 13 minutes, so that at least it flushes out whatever came from the person that was washing before. Yeah. I mean, well, the question you gotta ask yourself is, huh?
top loaders.
Top loader, same thing, if you can. I mean, I would time it. You guys should time it and see how much time it takes. Like, is there specific laundry days? Or they launder as they go?
They launder.
Point operated too.
Point operated too.
You can just go
Also run the whole cycle, right? If you go put cycle,
Yeah. Unless you guys throw in towels that is white and bleach it. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever we can do to bring down the bacteria level is the best thing. Because here's this, if they're washing with soap and they're washing with cold water, it's alive. It's only agitation, right? It's not like you're agitating the whole thing, yeah? Washing hands, yeah, you can wash with cold water, but you're agitating your entire hands. The whole thing is agitation and soap. All employees, guys, all the way down to the people that's picking up leaves on the ground should get trained, right? No cost, like she said, during working hours, when initial assignment or as things change. Maybe you guys should seriously consider doing a drill inside your guys, wherever you're at. And when drill, like, you know, color something red and drop it on the ground. And see who's gonna go and how they're gonna deal with it, yeah? Hepatitis B vaccination is offered to all potentially exposed employees. Like I said, there's category A and B. Category A is mandatory. That's none of us. Category B depends, right? It's usually provided at no cost. I know Department of Health at one point was doing hepatitis B vaccinations. It's a three times series, yeah?
Is that a preventive thing or is it the treating? It's like treatment, right?
It's, no, it's preventive.
Oh, okay.
So just recently, they started looking at the category A and B workers. And what our, I guess, epidemiology had said was it's better to preventatively get the 3 hepatitis B vaccinations than to do it after the fact. So sometimes Department of Health Brandy provides it, and then, you know, they usually can get workers on a list. If not, if you feel like you want to do it, talk to your primary care, because if the employer doesn't provide it for your exposure rate, then your primary care can order it. But it's just, guys, you gotta do that 3-month series. I mean, it's not 3 months, it's the first month, 60 days, and I think 6 months.
for a lifetime, we get.
Lifetime.
Yes.
Lifetime. Yes.
Are they still offering it for free in the schools?
I gotta go and ask, because I know that every so often, Department of Health even offers it at the state building, right? And it's like, usually public health would know, Brandy, like Martha.
Okay.
Yeah, but the reason is because, guys, we gotta protect ourselves as much as we can, yeah? So yeah, you also have what's called a declination form. You can decline it, because some people don't want it. They just like, I don't want it, and that's fine, yeah? Right now, no vaccinations for hepatitis C and HIV, yeah? Okay, now this is when an exposure occurs. Now, you don't like to freak out.
We're already freaked out.
I know. If I freak you out so that you can't get them, you get them. Then you never can get them. Yeah, so here's this. So if there is an exposure, the first thing you gotta ask yourself is where and by what means, right? So where? So guys, I don't know how much I used to work. Brandy was my supervisor before. I always show up everywhere late, right? I do. I show up everywhere late. Ask her. I show up everywhere late no matter. The only place I can show up early is when I probably die. But here's the deal. I started realizing to myself that, Tracy, when you're going out to do direct care, you gotta pay attention to what's going on in yourself, because that's all you can control. So I started setting my clock. First was 30 minutes earlier, but then I turn them off. So I really only get 15 minutes. So then I set up 1 hour earlier and I actually get 30 minutes. So what I started realizing is on the weekend, we do our own trips, right? We go, we maybe cut yard, clean yard, we go with the kids, or we at the beach. And we don't realize that we get one cut. You gotta check them out. You gotta check your body out. And if you don't like check your body out, I'll tell you how to have check your body out. But you gotta find out what's on there. You gotta find out, do I have a cuticle open? And if I have a cuticle open, I'm gonna put a Band-Aid on it, and I might put one of those rubber things on it, right? Sometimes you playing around, roughhousing with your kids, because I do, because I only have 3 boys, so of course I'm gonna roughhouse them. And they pull one part of my hair, right? So now it's like, oh, you want scab over here, right? You kind of gotta know, because when you're out in the field, you're doing something, you pick that scab and then what? Right? You're exposed, it's open, right? Now, so you gotta study yourself. You gotta ask yourself, was there a break in your skin? Where did it come from? Is it the person's bleeding? Is it dry blood? You have no identity of the person that you got it from, right? So if you got it from somebody that you know, the cool part about it is you can ask the supervisor or the manager to review whatever medical record you may have to see if there's anything that you should be concerned of. But if you don't know, right, then you have to err on caution that, it's infected blood. Yeah? Eyes. You guys, you should do a contest, Brandy. Here's a contest. You should do a contest with your employees, and you should try and do it on where they gotta hold each other accountable of how much times they touch their face during work. Yeah, touch their nose, touch their eyes. You gonna trip out. I've been doing it to my workers. I gave them one gift card. I told them whoever comes up with the least amount of time touching their face, right? I said, you guys want your own gift card for coffee? It was like, I got this, Tracy, I got this. All of a sudden, people was like, oh, this is hard. And I was like, what do you want to touch? My nose. And I was like, then you gotta wash your hands. So they touch their nose, they wash your hands. They said, Tracy, all day I'm gonna be sitting in the bathroom. Because they don't realize how much you go from typing to touching. Typing to touching. Typing to touching. Right? Shake somebody's hand, you rub your eye. Right? So you gotta do that. You guys gotta check that out. Right? You wanna wash the exposed area with soap and water as best as you possibly can. Right? You wanna flush your eye, you want to be able to flush your nose, whatever it is where you think the entry point is, you want to clean it as best as you possibly can immediately. You know more soap and water? Drop alcohol, it's gonna burn. It's that alcohol-based stuff, yeah? So, I love to watch people wash their hands, it blows my mind. Right, I'm in the bathroom, I check everybody out. They think I'm weird, I think. I'm like, oh, that person never washed their hands. What? We need to have signs on this place. You cannot, you know how like, you cannot get on paper towel until you put your hand on it? People shouldn't be able to leave, like, until they wash their hands correctly. Right? They should have a Macarena for that. Yeah, for washing hands. You want to report the exposure immediately. Immediately. I give you an example that happened recently before I left adult mental health. A worker of mine went out to a house visit in Pahala. While at the house visit in Pahala, was severely bitten by fleas. She texted me immediately, Tracy, I gotta end this session. I got bit by these fleas. I said, okay, go home now, right? Not realizing that that worker wears those long skirts. So the thing is sucking up fleas. Right? And then now she gotta walk back to drive back to Hilo. So she got bit some more. In the midst of all of that, you're gonna start scratching, right? So what happened, what these fleas did, was it caused cellulitis. And then it led into a blood infection. And then it led into total knee replacement parts had to come out. Okay? Person's still out. Right? I'm telling you this, in the state, you don't report them to your supervisor. Never happened. Luckily, she reported it immediately. It traced this, and I always tell my workers, if at all, take a picture of it, right? Take a picture of what it was, take a picture of it, because here's the deal. We want to try to help you guys, but we can't if you don't help yourself, right? I'm telling you, we can't. Direct employee to healthcare professional. Get up to somebody as immediately as you can. I've had nurses get sick with needles with people that have been known to have hepatitis or HIV. The good part about it is they told me immediately, they went to the ER immediately, and they're being monitored to see if anything has entered their blood system. And it's not only one-time monitoring, it's for a series, because we want to make sure. We want to make sure that we haven't caused a situation. Confidential medical evaluation and follow-up, right? So when you go up, they're going to ask, who was the source individual? Because if it's known that they have a public health concern, they're going to treat you differently. Yeah? They're also going to probably draw blood from you when you're out at the hospital, so that they can at least get a baseline of if you have it in your system or not, right? And then counseling, evaluation. So what kind of questions do you have? Guys, yes?
What about breathing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're in a situation where maybe not blood, but something through for diarrhea, can that be exposure?
It can, but it depends. So like for HIV, no. Right, because that is all blood and mucous membrane, and it doesn't like stain out of the blood and out of the body. So no. Different forms of hepatitis, yes. Yeah. I always tell people, seriously, if a person threw up, the person is now getting treatment or whatever, and there's still an area you gotta clean, right? It's probably best to make sure you have all your equipment first before you go in, right? So I know you guys can purchase these hazmat sort of materials, because Brandy shared that with me. That if you guys let her know, she can go and purchase it. One of the best things I've ever found is you get keep a huge container of cat litter, right? And you pour it all over it. And it'll harden up. And when it's hardened up, it's easier to move. Yeah? What I've also learned is, I know this can sound super ridiculous, but I will tell you it works. So all of us drink water or soda or whatever, and we always have those 2-liter bottles too, right? So I cut off the end, yeah? And I make a diagonal, and I cut off the end on the other. Now I get one pooper scooper, yeah? And the reason why is because when you buy biohazard kits, they will give you this flimsy cardboard. The kind like you go like that and the tape is flicking all over the place. Crazy. Ain't happening. I'm not using that, right? You gotta make a decision to yourself, and you gotta let Brandy know, like, hey Brandy, you know, the biohazard kit that we buy is great, but that cardboard thing, bruh, it's not working, right? It's not working because you're gonna have situations like that you're trying to take something off. So yeah, breathing rare, but like I said, if it's a lot of blood and you're spraying Clorox, and then you walk away from it, it's better than you sitting in there and you're trying to clean it and the fumes are coming off on it. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, bleach is toxic for the brain too. Oh. So, okay, wait. Oh, wait. Okay, so now I'm going, so we're gonna jam through this. I might skip some, but it's not just because I wanna skip it, it's because I wanna make this useful for discussion, okay? So protective equipment, right? It's supposed to be to improve personal safety in the healthcare environment, right? How we select it, we talked about that already. We gotta make sure that it is a joint effort, right? Because management might buy you something that doesn't match the type of work you do. They think it matches, but it might not, and you need to let them know, right? Specialized clothing or equipment worn by an employee for protection against infectious materials is personal protective equipment. Yeah. OSHA has its own regulations based on our work field, what we should have. And I can tell you, based on what you guys have or are offered, it's adequate. Yeah. Let me skip that. So gloves, right? Protect hands, gowns and aprons. Do you guys have those?
Yes.
Yes, some of you guys do, okay. Gowns and aprons, protect skin and or clothing, masks or respirators, protect mouth, nose, right? Goggles to protect eyes, and then face shields, right? Right? I always do that. Whoops. So gloves, the purpose is pretty much patient care, patient contact, environmental services, which is what you guys do, right? Different types of glove materials, like some of you guys might be allergic to a type of glove. And if you don't know, you will know once you put one on. Because you will get super itchy. Or all of a sudden your hand will get swollen, right? Interesting. Sterile versus non-sterile. You would ask yourself, why do they even sell non-sterile gloves? Because they're not meant for food handling and patient care, right? So when you buy one box, make sure the things say sterile, right? 1 or 2 pairs, single use or reusable. Don't use reusable gloves unless you cutting grass, right? Remember what I was saying, do's or don'ts, right? You gotta work from clean to dirty, yeah? Now, local way of doing stuff is we just clean, right? I'm gonna show you guys something. So you guys coming across blood, this glove is a trip. But it's good, this is how you don the glove. You have to put it on all the way. So here's this. You're coming to clean something, right? limit your opportunity touching the contamination. How do you do that? You first look at what you're doing, and you try to do it in the least amount of steps possible, right? If you're the kind of person that goes like this, and I've seen this happen, people are cleaning, right? They're cleaning up whether it's blood or it's fecal matter, right? And they're going and they're grabbing some paper towel with the dirty hand to the clean. No, right? So I tell people first, prepare your area. Before you even touch it, rip off how much paper towels you think you're gonna need, right? So I'll give you an example. Somebody on a blessed New Year's Eve decided to put their butt cheeks against my wall at Adult Mental Health Division and decided to use the bathroom on the door. So my workers are like, hell to the no. I'm not going to work. So I have one worker stand outside, and this is for real. One worker stand outside directing people away from the area, right? They're all, Tracy, who's gonna clean that? And I said, me, because ARC is closed today, right? So they're like, and you look happy about it. I said, I am. I'm gonna show you guys how this is done. So they're like, you gotta deal with it right now. People are seeing it. I don't care. I don't care if people see somebody who used the bathroom on our door, right? Because I don't care. It's not about anybody else except me, because I can clean up. So I tapped my nurse and I said, hey, I need us to go into a buddy system. She says, what's the buddy system? My hands will be dirty, your hands will be clean. Okay? She said, okay, tell me how we're gonna work this. I'm gonna work up the soiled situation. You're gonna hand me clean things, right? And I don't want you to touch my hands. I want you to just drop it, and I will grab it from there, okay? So my workers are just like, oh my God, what is Tracy doing? If you don't believe me, drive past this Adult Mental Health Division, you can see one white circle on our door. That's called Clorox. No doubt. So what happened was, we realized we run out of paper towels, right? So what happens is I had 2 bags. So we had paper towels. You couldn't put anything dry over it because it's on the wall, right? We had bleach prepared, we had newspapers, we had bags, right? So how do you do it, guys? Red bag outside, black bag inside, or whatever liner bag inside. I double bag it, or you go double red, right? So we open it up, it's already there. So I'm not cleaning, dropping on the ground, infecting somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's clean inside, clean inside. And you try to work with one hand. This is one good, what is that, Brandon, where you get like business relays. When you guys have one team building exercise, make them do this. Oh, I come for duel. We'll settle up how fast you guys can get this done without infecting everybody, right? So what happened was, my workers were like standing like this. They're just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So the first thing is trying to get as much mass off the wall, right? So mass off the wall, boom, inside the container, in the trash bag, in the bag. It's probably better if you can to put it over a bucket, because then it's a sturdy bag, right? So then she goes, she's about to hand it to me. I said, drop it. She drops it. I pick it up because the bottom of it is clean, right? The paper is clean, right? She drops it, paper's clean. I'm only infecting the top. I wipe it, boom, I put it inside there. Next, she sprays. She sprays, we wait, right? She sprays, she said, okay, we're waiting. She's all like, everybody's looking at us at the post office now, right? Like, what the heck? So she gets the paper towel, boom, puts the paper towel down, same thing, right? Sometimes, if you can, I double glove before I start. And I double glove not only to protect me, but when I'm going from dirty to clean, I take off the soiled one. So like, the moment you spray it, that tells you we're now going into clean. right? Spray it, we're going in to clean. So I take off the glove. Now, taking off a glove, let me see. If it's torn or heavily soiled, even during the use on the same patient, same incident, change it, right? Change it. Because what you're doing is you're just having matter on your hand, right? No, change it, get rid of it, put it in there, doesn't matter, right? Now wait, I want to skip all of this. I want to go to the part on how we put it on, okay? So for gowns, right? You probably can get one universal size, right? It's a universal size gown. Opening is usually in the back and secures at the neck and waist. Honestly, guys, if the gown is too small, use two. Do not try to stick your lovely self in one. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna leave yourself exposed, right? You tie it up, right? Gown one ties in the front, tie in the back. It's always good to try and see if you can get yourself all in two gowns. You guys did that before when you go hospital, ER,
Yes.
right? You go, oh man, you know, you gotta go through this x-ray. Pretty much you can use two gowns because your butt will be exposed, right? And so you tie yourself up. That's the best way. Because you're walking in, this whole thing is protected. It's when it comes off that it's different. Putting on the mask, right? Putting the mask on, you want to make sure that you're securing the ties, right? Secure the top. I've seen the strangest things. I've seen people tie the mask up here and tie the bottom mask up here. Yeah, so when you start going, it's not sitting right, right? And you're like breathing it all through here, like no, right? Adjust it to fit. Buddy system is important. If you have a buddy, tell them, bro, look like I get this thing on straight. Because if it's like creasing on and it's causing a puka over here, things can get in, right? Putting on the respirator, you put it over your nose and mouth, right? That nose bridge is not for your chin. It's for your nose. Nose, this one. Right? Nose, right? Secure it as much as you can to your face, right? Now, all of our faces are built differently. If you look at everybody's face, your guys' mouth structure is not the same. So if it doesn't fit, you gotta find out, right? You gotta find out, like, does this respirator even fit me, right? Does this mask even fit me, right? You want to perform a check. When you inhale a respirator, it'll collapse. When you exhale, right? Check for any leakage around the face. At one point in time, I want to say it was like 3 or 4 years ago, Department of Health had instructed all of its agencies to do, by not necessarily Hope, but in the state, that we had to get N92 respirators. And I couldn't figure out why. And it was because ultimately tuberculosis was entering back into the system. And so they wanted us to make sure that we had some respirators if we had to face it, right? Eye protection, pretty much, right? Position goggles over the eyes. I get on a real bad habit. You see it, you can see it right now. This is very bad if it has blood on it, because then I'll put it on my head.